This is wild as we have multiple shocking Toronto Maple Leafs updates as Alex Nylander and Dakota Mermis. We have major updates on their front end. What happened today is very surprising. So to break down what happened and discuss what it means going forward, as it has some fans fired up. Stay tuned for all that in this episode. But before we get into it, if you're a part of the percentage who aren't subscribed to the channel, about 71% of you who are watching are not subscribed. This is the place to be for daily Leafs content. So if you're enjoying it, make sure to hit the subscribe button, and we'll also be live following tonight's game for a live stream. So make sure to tune into that as well. But Darius, a lot going on right now in Leafs land, and we got an update regarding Alex Nylander, Dakota Mermis, and a couple other things as well. So let's just dive right into it here. And Alex Nylander has cleared waivers. So we'll start with that. And Jake McCabe has been activated from the injured reserve. So Jake McCabe is making his debut tonight, like we covered in our video earlier today. But Alex Nylander has cleared waivers, and in a bit of a surprising fashion here, Nylander has now been sent back to the Marlies, which is actually really good for the Toronto Maple Leafs. He can continue to develop. He's only 25, 26 years old, and keep living with his brother and working on that front. But I'm a little bit surprised to see Alex Nylander not be claimed, because someone else got claimed that we'll discuss here in a couple minutes. But just a whole lot of surprising moves today.
Yeah, well, I said yesterday I was totally expecting Alex Nylander to be selected by somebody, or claimed off waivers, I should say, by another team and continue to play in the NHL, because I think a lot of other teams could use him. And I was wrong. That didn't happen. He's cleared waivers. He's going back down to the Marlies. He's going to continue to live with his brother and obviously play close to home, I guess, where they live in Toronto with the Marlies, and continue to do his thing down in the AHL, because he had a great start to the season before being called up. And it was an unfortunate, mix here in Toronto, because he doesn't really bring to the lineup what they need in the bottom six roles. So obviously it wasn't a good fit. We talked about that in our video yesterday, but again, I'm pretty surprised, and I'm just speculating here. I'm just making this up. I don't know for sure, but I feel like there might have been something in his contract where if a team claimed him, they would have had to pay a ridiculous bonus, or he wouldn't report or something like that. I feel like there might be something in there, because I do think that he could help a lot of teams. What he did with Columbus last year, and again, I think if he got like top line minutes, or top 6 minutes, he could probably still do something in the NHL. So again, that's just me speculating on that. But he will return to the Marlies, and I think that's a good thing for the Leafs organization, because now he's on an NHL contract. We might see him later this season. If there are a bunch of injuries later in the season, like they were earlier this season, then they can just call him up. And I think that's great that he's still in the organization, and good for him as well, because he's going to continue to get better at his craft down in the Marlies. I think that's why he signed in Toronto, so he could live with his brother and learn how to be a better pro as well. So it's a good thing, I think, for him to be staying with Toronto and to stay in the organization. I have no problem with that. It's not like I wanted to get rid of him or anything like that. I think it's fine, and he'll be back with the Marlies.
Yeah, it's a win-win if you're a Leafs fan, it's a win-win. I guess of Alex Nylander if you wanted an NHL opportunity, but I can't imagine he's too upset about being able to stay in Toronto. I mean, he ultimately signed here when he had other NHL offers on the table, and now months later, no NHL team wanted to claim him, which is very intriguing. So let us know down below what your thoughts are on that. Are you as surprised as I am about Alex Nylander not being claimed? Let us know. But also, Utah Hockey Club has claimed Dakota Mermis off of waivers from Toronto. Mermis didn't even get in a game with the Leafs after a jaw injury and a conditioning stint, and it was an interesting signing in the offseason. He's obviously 30 years old. He played for the Wild last year, played a bit over, I think, 48 games or over 40 games. And we were curious to see how he was going to factor into the team, and ultimately, he's not going to factor into the Toronto Maple Leafs, and they have an abundance of defensemen, so it kind of makes sense here. But Dakota Mermis was the one who was claimed, not Alex Nylander, and of course that's probably due to the fact that teams always need depth defensemen across the NHL, and that's exactly what Dakota Mermis is. He played 3 games with the Marlies, and now he has been claimed. So it's very intriguing to me. You can see from Steve Dangle here, Leafs signed him, he busted his jaw, and he rehabbed here for like 2 months. Utah just takes him. And I don't know if the Leafs expected Dakota to be claimed off of waivers, but that being said, I mean, they were using Philip Myers ahead of him anyways, and as of late, and now he is a Utah Hockey Club member.
Yeah, it's very interesting. I wasn't expecting this player to be claimed off waivers, but the Leafs, like you mentioned, have a lot of defensemen. They have a lot of options. They have Philippe Meyer as well. So I'm not even sure if Dakota Mermis, was going to get into a game anytime soon. And I think they were just doing a lot of roster management, trying to save cap as well, heading into the trade deadline. So probably just doing a lot of that. And then he was claimed off waivers today by Utah, who, have been plagued by injuries as well, so they could use a defenseman. It makes sense on their end. But again, it is really weird. The NHL is really weird in this way sometimes, where like he comes into camp, maybe he's going to find his way onto the team, or at least into like, an 8th or 9th spot on the depth chart. He hurts his jaw. He has surgery on his jaw. Then he spends a couple months rehabbing. He finally gets back into the swing of things. He's practicing normally with them. and then all of a sudden he's claimed off waivers. It's really weird. So very interesting for Dakota Mermis. He'll be there in Utah, and there is a real possibility, sometime down the line he is put on waivers again, but I don't know if he's going to end up returning to Toronto because of the waiver order there. But very odd situation.
Yeah, he never got in with the Toronto Maple Leafs, and it's not like he's a rookie or a young player. He's 30 years old, so I'm sure he'll get a lot of opportunity now with Utah, which is ultimately the goal for him. And Leafs injured reserve, once McMahon returns the next 2 days, you still have Yanni Hakanpää, David Kampf, Cal Yarncroc. They're getting healthy. We'll have to make a bigger roster decision the next time someone comes back bearing further injuries. And yeah, we spoke
Yeah.
about David Kampf earlier today. Of course, Yanni Hakanpää is still on the injured reserve. He can be activated whenever. And of course, Cal Yarncroc isn't nearing a return here. Things are getting very interesting. Again, Dakota Mermis didn't have a big cap hit, only 775,000, and he was obviously on the LTIR. So I guess you can see this here. Toronto loses the cap hit while also removing his cap hit from their team cap hit for a zero net cap impact. So again, I don't think that's going to change too much with the Toronto Maple Leafs. It was not like he was playing a ton with the Leafs, but it's super interesting now. And as you look at the roster here, Darius, things are getting interesting, especially and we've been talking about how bigger moves are going to have to come for this team, like Scott James Myrtle alludes to here. Big moves are on the horizon for the team, and it's going to be interesting to see what they do, specifically surrounding Fraser Minton and, of course, a lot of the other guys as they come back. David Camp with Connor Dewar. Connor Dewar's been playing really well. They obviously signed him into a contract this offseason. So it's going to be interesting to see what actual moves they make. But when you're looking at the roster here, they're going to get everybody's getting healthy now. So it's actually time to make decisions. You can't keep delaying the inevitable like they've been doing really all season.
Yeah, they're gonna have to make a move coming up here soon. So David Camp, I mean Yanni Hakanpää, we can start with him. Like he's on the IR, but he can be activated at any point right now. I don't think they're gonna do that. They're gonna take their time with him and obviously buy time so they can make a decision as they've been doing all season. David Camp, as soon as Saturday, can be activated as well. It doesn't sound like he's going to be activated right away. Still needs some time. So again, they're gonna buy time on that. And I don't think Kalle Yarncroc, he probably won't even play this season. So he's gonna be on the LTIR for the foreseeable future. Then you look at these lines, you look at the forward group. There's one guy that's missing in all of this. It is Nick Robertson, right? That hasn't been mentioned. Obviously, Bobby McMahon should be returning on Saturday as well. It doesn't look like he's going to factor in tonight, but Nick Robertson, he could be the odd man out. He could be the one being moved because, you can find a spot for a guy like McMahon, right? Especially in the bottom six. He can bring what you need. Robertson hasn't been scoring. He hasn't brought what he brings to the table this season. He doesn't bring the other stuff, the other intangibles that you could use in the bottom half of the lineup as well. So I think he's the odd man out right now. And a decision is going to be made pretty soon because yes, Camp is a little ways away, but it's coming up soon anyway, right? It could be a week, could be a week and a half. So they're going to have to make a decision on that coming up here soon. I think it's going to be interesting to me. I like Nick Robertson. I still think there's a high ceiling there. I still think he would find success with another team, but I don't know if he's going to find that success with Toronto, and the experiment might be done.
Yeah, and you see tonight Robertson, Gurbankin, and Myers in the press box, and of course the injured reserve. And you still have Yarncroc and Kampf on the LTIR, hoping to come back at some point this season. But that'll wrap it up. Let us know down below what your thoughts are on this. Things are getting very, very interesting with the Toronto Maple Leafs. And again, they still play a game tonight, and we'll be live following it. So make sure you tune in to that and let us know down below what your thoughts are on this move, on these moves. Sorry. Thank you guys for watching. See you later.